Hello and welcome to the Park Life Podcast. My name is Mike. I'm a travel agent that specializes in all things Disney. This is episode 48 of the Park Life Podcast. Today, I'm going to cover a variety of topics that surround the idea of what a perfect day at Disney World looks like. And I'm going to use my past trip as the baseline for what I talk about today. So, that trip was a four-generation trip. My parents were with us, my wife and I, my middle son and his wife, and our grandson, and then my youngest son, who is about to be a sophomore in college. So there were seven adults and a toddler with us. Probably the biggest group family trip that I've done in the past, especially since the advent of Lightning Lanes at Disney. So I wanted to cover how that went for us and maybe help you out in planning of your trip. If you're thinking about rope drop strategy, thinking about lightning lanes and how to utilize them, and is it worth it, and all of those different things that people think about. So first, I'm going to talk about what is the perfect day at the Magic Kingdom. I'm going to focus that on the Magic Kingdom. What does a perfect day look like? Does it include fireworks? Does it include the parade? Does it include shows? Does it include all of the rides or just certain rides? Does it include merchandise? Does it include food? All of those different things can come into play when you try to define the perfect day at the Magic Kingdom. For me, and it's really struck me when we were there. Again, there were four generations. I was soaking it all in, enjoying the family experience, knowing that this is likely my parents' last time that they'll go to Disney and it was our grandson's first time. So for me, as I was kind of thinking through the experience, the idea of the perfect day at Magic Kingdom to me was is a mindset. It's that expectations can ruin the day if you set unrealistic expectations. If you think you're going to ride every ride and see every show and see the parade all in one day, all of those things will really tarnish your ability to have the perfect day. So for me, the perfect day is appreciating what you have, what you do, what you get to see, what you hear, and what you taste. And it's just that. Perfect day is opening your heart and mind to enjoy everything that you get to do. Now, you do have to make sure that you have your priorities. And a priority shouldn't be every ride. But if it's three rides, or it's a particular show, or ensuring that you see the fireworks, or that you get the perfect spot, at least how you define the perfect spot for the fireworks, there's nothing wrong with that. But set realistic expectations. So when we were at the Magic Kingdom, which was our very first park day, so it was our grandson's very first time walking in or riding in a stroller into the Magic Kingdom. We had no idea if he was going to like the rides. We had no idea if he was going to like the characters, fireworks, or the parades, or the crowds, or the heat, anything. But for me, it was a perfect day. And now, when I talk about expectations, these are the things we didn't do at the Magic Kingdom, and it was still my perfect day. We did not ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We did not get to do the um, Country Bear Jamboree. We did not get to do PhilharMagic. We did not do Carousel of Progress. We did not get to do the Laugh Floor. We did not see the cavalcades or the stage show. Took all of those things off of our list. We didn't do, and it was still a perfect day because it was a heart mindset experience for us. So now let's talk about rope drop and lightning lane. So for our family, again, seven adults and then the toddler. As a toddler under the age of three, he did not need a park admission ticket, and therefore he did not need lightning lane. He just tags along with one of the adults that's with him. So we kind of worked through what was important for the start of each park day. And I'll hit all four park days. We went to Magic Kingdom first. We went to Hollywood Studios second. We went to Epcot third, and we finished up our trip at Animal Kingdom. I walked through each day, whether we bought lightning lanes for each park, what went into that idea of whether we would get them or not, and then what we were able to accomplish. So we'll start with Magic Kingdom. Our rope drop strategy stayed on property so we could get in early We were into the park by 7:30 in the morning. The park for resort guests ride started at 8:30 a.m. So we were there about 7:30, 7:45. We had decided that we wanted to hit a couple, as many rides as we could, but a couple at least rides that we thought our grandson would really enjoy. Wanted to start the trip off on a good note for him. We didn't want to try a ride that might scare him and keep him from wanting to ride additional rides. So our rope drop strategy with him was to start with the Winnie the Pooh ride. And then if we had time before a ride we had to get to, and I'll talk about that here in a minute, we wanted to stay in that general area of Fantasyland. So for us, starting at 8:30 when the park ride started for resort guests, we rope dropped Winnie the Pooh. We then went over to the Little Mermaid ride. After that, we went to Dumbo. And then after that, we were able to do the teacups. We got all of those knocked out in the first 30 to 45 minutes of our morning. It was a great start. Grandson enjoyed Winnie the Pooh until the rain scene. It was a little dark and loud and stormy. Wasn't sure about that. Loved Little Mermaid. He absolutely loved Dumbo so much. He enjoyed that. And I wasn't sure how he would do once they went up in the air, but he absolutely loved it with smiles the whole time. And then he laughed the whole time on the teacup ride. We had made the decision, or I had made the decision for our family that we were going to buy lightning lanes for the Magic Kingdom. Again, his very first time going, probably my parents' last time ever going. We went, it was the end of May. It was pretty warm. It was in the low 90s and humid. I wanted to make sure we could get as much done as possible. So we bought Lightning Lanes, the Lightning Lane multi pass for the 7 adults. Now, I want to pause for a moment and talk about Lightning Lanes. I know a lot of people are unsure whether it's worth it financially to buy them or not. I understand that, and it's not in everybody's budget. And so this isn't a budget discussion. This is about whether it's worth it or not. And again, it's a mindset. But for me, my mind was in this idea that it wasn't about ensuring that we got to do all of the most popular rides with Lightning Lane. It was about saving time. And if we could save 10 or 15 minutes on 4 or 5 rides, that meant we saved about an hour wait time that we could invest in more popular rides if we didn't get Lightning Lanes for those rides. So that was how I looked at it. The shorter waits we could have, especially in the middle of the day when it was warmer, the better for everybody in our party. So we did the lightning lanes. I did pre-selects, our 3 pre-selects. I did pick Jungle Cruise as our tier 1 option as our pre-select. I also picked Buzz Lightyear and I picked Small World. Again, for me, it was partially about not necessarily only popular rides, but what rides did I think our grandson would enjoy so that the rest of the trip would be enjoyable for everybody. Our Jungle Cruise ride, I think, was at 9:30. So I knew we could get as much done from a rope drop strategy in about 45 minutes and then would have to head over to Jungle Cruise. So I'm not going to do this in any particular order, but I'm going to give you all of the rides that we were able to do at Magic Kingdom for our first day, which was a Friday, with Lightning Lane. I was able to do Jungle Cruise. We did Buzz Lightyear. We did Small World. We did Haunted Mansion. We did Space Mountain. We did Peter Pan, and we did Pirates. And we did buy the individual lightning lanes for Tron so that I knew for sure everybody that wanted to ride it would get at least one chance and then they could do standby if they wanted to. I bought 4 individual passes for Tron, knowing that my wife and my mom would not ride it. And that left my 2 boys, my daughter in law, and then the fourth ticket was either going to be for me or for my dad. My dad had never done Tron and he thought he would want to try it, so I let him ride it. And they all had a great time. So for our purchase of lightning lanes, we got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. We got 8 rides, which I think is really good. Disney does not guarantee anything beyond the original 3 pre-selects that you get. You typically can get more than that. I see on social media all the time people that say that it wasn't worth it because they only got 3 rides and that was it. Well, I think they were trying to get the most popular rides for lightning lanes, and if they couldn't get them, then they didn't bother getting anything else. And that's where I think if you could save 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes waiting in any line, it's well worth the investment. Now, here's what we did that was a standby. We did not have lightning lanes for either because they weren't available, they don't make them available, or the lines weren't terribly long anyway. We stood in line to see two of the princesses. We saw Tiana and we saw Rapunzel. The parade, Happily Ever After. We ate at Cosmic Rays twice. Our grandson loved Sunny Eclipse. I think it's a great experience there. We saw Tigger, we saw Mickey Mouse, and we did the People Mover. Again, there were things we didn't get to do, and I mentioned most of those. We didn't ride the train either, which is also a family favorite, but we didn't get it done in time, and that was okay. Not an expectation, and really, we walked out of the park, and none of us were discouraged or upset that we didn't get to do any of the things that I mentioned. So, day two for us was at Hollywood Studios. And now I said on day one that I focused rope drop primarily on what our grandson would enjoy. I switched it up for day two at Hollywood Studios, knowing that there are a couple of incredibly popular rides. Um, and so we wanted to utilize rope drop strategy a little bit for that, while also incorporating lightning lanes, which I did purchase for our day two at Hollywood Studios. Again, with the mindset of if we could save time at any of the attractions, it was well worth the investment. So we rope drop Rise of the Resistance. Now, our grandson's too small to ride it, so my wife opted not to ride. She stayed with him. It was a little rainy that morning, so they actually hung out underneath the tunnel, if you will, between where the Muppet Courtyard is and where Galaxy's Edge starts. So that's where they hung out. So the remaining five adults, or six adults, sorry, we rope drop Rise of the Resistance. We walked right through. We never stopped moving in that line. We walked straight through slowly, but probably 10 minutes, and we were on the ride. We got done with it, and we then hit Muppet 3D Vision. Typically that's not a rope drop attraction, and of course now it is closed permanently, but it was definitely an expectation of mine that I wanted to see it one last time before it did close down. So we knocked that out. Now our pre-selects for Lightning Lanes, we had Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That was our first one, and I think that one was at 9:15. So we had about 30 to 40 minutes to rope drop attractions before we had to get there. Our second pre-select was Alien Swirling Saucers, and our third one was Toy Story Mania. Alien Swirling Saucers, my grandson was probably about a half inch, maybe an inch tall enough to ride it. This was the most aggressive ride at this point that we had considered putting him on. If you look at the things that we did at Magic Kingdom, that he was tall enough for, teacups is probably the most aggressive, and they did not spin that teacup. His mom and dad did not spin it. They just moved around on the ride. So we rolled the dice with aliens, thinking that this could go one of two ways. But he sat in between his mom and dad, and my wife and I rode together. And my youngest son rode in a cart by himself, and my parents, I think, rode in a cart by themselves. Grandson was smiling the whole time, laughing, enjoyed it, wasn't scared around the quicker spins and rotations on the ride, but he absolutely loved it. And then Toy Story was our third pre-select. These are the rides that we did do Lightning Lanes, at least part of our party did. Not everybody rode all of these things, but Runaway Railway, Alien Swirling Saucers, Toy Story Mania, Star Tours, Rock and Roller Coaster, Frozen, the sing along, and then Tower of Terror. These are the things that we did via standby. We met Donald, we met Goofy, we met Max, we met Daisy. We went to the special summer dance party two different times. Again, not knowing how my grandson was going to do around characters, he was deathly afraid of Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny this year. So we just had to kind of hold our breath. He went running right up to Pluto, danced with Pluto for probably 30 minutes, ran over to Mickey Mouse, danced with him, held his hand, walked with him. Um, the memories from that experience with him made the trip perfect for me. We had lunch at the ABC commissary. I'm a huge fan of the buffalo chicken grilled cheese sandwich there. We saw the brand new Villain show, which was really cool. Not all of us saw it. Grandson was sound asleep in the stroller, so my mom and my wife stayed with him, and everybody else went and saw the show. We did the Beauty and the Beast show, and then we also saw Phantasmic. So pretty fulfilling day at Hollywood Studios. There were things there that we did not get to do or chose not to do. We did not see the Indiana Jones stunt show, for instance, and that was okay. We then moved on to day three. Day three was at Epcot. Went back to the idea of what was going to be most important for our grandson to rope drop. Now, this trip we stayed at All Star Sports, which meant we were taking a bus to Epcot, which meant we were walking into the front of the park. Our previous handful of trips, we stayed on the Skyliner and resort on the Skyliner route, so we were entering Epcot in the back of the park. For me, that changed our rope drop strategy. In the past, coming in through the back of the park in the International Gateway, we would always rope drop Ratatouille, the Remy 3D ride, because you're right there. But walking in the front of the park, we had decided we would rope drop Frozen, and I purchased lightning lanes, and I got a lightning lane for Remy. So that's how we attacked the lightning lane and rope drop strategy. But for us, we rope dropped Frozen, and we were on and off that ride probably by 8:45 in the morning. The park officially opens at 9 a.m. for all non-resort guests. So we were going to go ahead and then rope drop the Three Caballeros, the Grand Fiesta ride inside the Mexican Pavilion. To come to find out that the inside of that building does not open until 9 a.m., so we could not get a second attraction done in that 8:30 to 9 o'clock window. That was okay. It didn't ruin our vacation or anything like that. These were the rides that we did lightning lanes for. We did Remy. We had a lightning lane for Figment, for Nemo, for Soren, for Living with the Land, Spaceship Earth, and Mission Space. And I bought individual lightning lanes for Guardians. Again, I bought four of them, knowing that my mom would not ride it, my wife does not ride it. That allowed my son, my other son, my daughter-in-law, and a fourth one to ride. My dad opted out, so I rode that with them. It was my middle son and his wife, their very first time riding Guardians, and as luck would have it, we got September. This is what we did on standby without lightning lanes. We did Three Caballeros when it opened. We did a meet and greet with Moana. We did the Journey into Water, the Moana attraction. Grandson absolutely loved it. Loved getting wet. Had so much fun. He could probably spend an hour in there. We did the American Adventure. We did Connections for lunch. We partook in drinking Beverly. My youngest son was aware of Beverly. He had tried it a couple years ago when we were there. Middle son, daughter-in-law, my dad had no idea. It was the five of us, and so he said, "All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're each gonna get a cup, and we're gonna sample every one of them, but we're gonna wait and do Beverly last." And so I had a good time with that. We went to the Caramel Shop in Germany. We watched Luminous. I feel like there's something else that I'm thinking of. Oh, we also, after doing the Nemo ride with Lightning Lane, we spent a lot of time in the aquarium. Again, my grandson could have stood at the glass of the tank of the manatees and watched them probably for an hour. He had so much fun with that. So there was our day three with lightning lanes and rope drop strategy. Move on to Animal Kingdom. So this was our fourth park day. I strategically planned our park days the way I did. I wanted Magic Kingdom to be our very first day as a family. It's the icon, the castle, all of the rides, all the attractions, the shows, the characters. And so that was our first day. I knew for a fact I wanted to do that. I also knew that I wanted to make Animal Kingdom our very last day. Animal Kingdom has the least amount of things to do. I knew that as a family with seven adults and a toddler that we would probably all be exhausted by day four. And so having a park that had a little less to do, knowing that the park closed at 6 p.m., we would be done at a much earlier time and we'd be able to go back to our resort, have more relaxation time, spend more time at the pool, be able to pack up to leave for our next day. So that's how we did that. Now, as far as doing Hollywood on Saturday and Epcot on Sunday, I did. We originally had them flipped. I was going to do Epcot Saturday and Hollywood Sunday, but about 10, 14 days before our trip, looking at park hours and looking at the prices of the Lightning Lane Multipass, they added an extra hour to the park day at Hollywood on Saturday and added a second Phantasmic on Saturday to Hollywood Studios. And the Lightning Lane price for Epcot on Sunday was considerably less. So we flipped, giving us an extra hour at Hollywood, giving us the opportunity for one of two or both Phantasmics. And I saved $70 on Lightning Lanes by moving us to Saturday at Hollywood and Sunday at Epcot. Worked out perfectly. So that was kind of how our trip worked out. We did two character meals on Monday at Animal Kingdom. We went to Tusker House for breakfast. That is a family favorite of ours. We enjoy that a lot. So when we got to Animal Kingdom on day 4, the park originally was scheduled to open at 8 a.m. for all guests and 7:30 for resort guests to rope drop. Again, about a week before, the hours changed and it opened at 7:30 for all guests, 7 a.m. for resort guests. I'll be honest, 4 days, fourth day in, we were not all up and moving, ready to be on the bus by 6:30 to be at Epcot by 7. We probably rolled into Epcot though at about 7:05, 7:10. Not horribly, but plan was to rope drop Flight of Passage. Again, a ride that my grandson's too short to ride, but knowing how popular that ride is, knowing that my middle son and his wife had never ridden it before, we wanted to rope drop that ride. Amazingly, though, just being 10 minutes, approximately 10 minutes late walking into the park for a resort guest rope drop, the wait for Flight of Passage was well over an hour. So we changed course. We did Navi River as our first rope drop ride. We then were able to go over and hit the safari, all before non-resort guest ride opening time at 7:30. Once we were done with the safari, we moseyed on over, checked in for our dining for breakfast at Tusker House. We enjoyed the breakfast there. My grandson loved the character interactions. When breakfast was over, we then went to the Lion King Festival of the Lion King show, which is my all-time favorite daytime show at Walt Disney World. I should say we bought no lightning lanes whatsoever for Animal Kingdom. To me, there just aren't enough attractions to make the investment worth it. There's enough time in the day to wait in line for the rides. So again, after Tusker House, we did the standby for the Festival of the Lion King show. Um, Toddler grandson, he will turn 2 in August of 2025. So he's about 21 months when we were there. He got a little antsy once we sat down, as toddlers do. Wasn't really interested in just sitting and sitting, but as soon as the show started, he was glued in on everything, laughing, smiling, clapping, pointing, all of the things, roaring like a lion, everything. He just absolutely loved it. We did walk over to the dinosaur ride, and some of us rode dinosaur, not all of us. Again, the grandson was too short. My wife and I opted not to ride it. We stayed with him and thinking that it was about nap time for him. He looked pretty tired, pushing him around in the stroller over by Dinosaur, which is over in what's left of Dinoland, where you can do the meet and greet with Donald Duck, with Daisy, and Chip and Dale. Well, we were walking around in an area. I was pushing him in the stroller, thinking he'd fall asleep, where the characters come out from, where the cast members enter and exit. And so there was Chip and Dale right away, and he perked right up, gave him high fives as they walked right by him. And so I thought, well, you know what the heck? If he's excited about the characters, let's go. So I took him over. We waited to see Daisy Duck first and absolutely loved it. Where she set up, there is a ceramic um, replica of a dinosaur laying right behind her. Grandson pointed to the dinosaur, so she took him by the hand, walked over. They kind of kneeled down and pet the dinosaur as if it was alive. She was wonderful with him. We then walked up to where Chip and Dale's meet and greet are. They weren't there. So we waited a couple minutes. There was nobody else there. And here came Chip and Dale. So he got first interaction with them. He ran up and hugged both of them, which I think might have been the first characters he hugged in our trip. Just had a wonderful time with them. I knew he was getting tired, but he wanted to see Donald Duck. So he and I stood in line for Donald, and I was fully prepared for him to have a toddler meltdown and we'd have to leave the line. But he was a trooper. Um, the lady in front of us had Mickey ears on that had the Slinky dog on it, and he thought that was funny, and she was great with him. And when it was our turn for Donald, Donald came over, took him by the hand, walked right over, hugged Donald, had a great time there. So it was magical for me while the kids were riding the dinosaur ride. After Dinosaur, we went over to Rafiki's Planet Watch. We rode the conservation station train, went into the petting zoo. Again, grandson had a great time there with the animals. It was kind of nice and relaxed and chill. Took the train back over. Some of our travel party rode Everest 3 times. Ended up going over to Flight of Passage. My wife and I sat out with the grandson. He was sound asleep in his stroller by that point in time. So he got in a good nap while everybody else rode Flight of Passage. And then we wrapped up our day. On our travel home day, which was the next day, our flight wasn't until later in the afternoon. So we took the bus over to Magic Kingdom and then rode the monorail to the Contemporary Resort and had breakfast at Chef Mickey's. Great spread of food options for the buffet for breakfast, and then the character interactions were wonderful. For us, it was a great way to end our trip. After that, we did take the monorail um, over to, let me think about this. What did we do? We took the bus to Hollywood Studios. That's what we did. We took bus to Hollywood Studios from the Magic Kingdom. We then took the Skyliner over to Epcot just to ride it, and then took the Skyliner back, and then took a bus back to our resort, and then it was time to head to the airport. So overall, for me, the strategy for rope drop was pretty simple. We identified what was most important at each of the parks for our travel party, and as I said, for the most part, it was about what was most important for our grandson, um, sprinkling in things for everybody else, and then supplementing rope drop strategy with what we could do with lightning lanes. So if I were to count at Magic Kingdom for lightning lanes, we did 8 rides plus we bought Tron. At Hollywood Studios, we did one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 lightning lane attractions. And then at Epcot, we did one, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. Plus, I bought Lightning Lane's single pass for Guardians. So I felt like the investment was well worth it. Again, I understand that the money is not in the budget for everybody, but my youngest son, who again will be a sophomore in college, he and I were talking one morning as we were walking from our resort room up to the food court area at All Star Sports. And I said, I understand that it's a lot of money. It was, let's just say $30 per person. It wasn't 30, it was 27, 29, 21, whatever it was. Let's just call it 30 for simplicity. To be able to ride 8 rides with the Lightning Lane at Magic Kingdom, for instance, and at Epcot, shorten our waits so that we had more time to do everything else. $30 to allow us to do almost everything, at least everything we wanted to do, is a far smaller investment than buying a second park day admission for the Magic Kingdom. And so the realization was that, yes, it's extra money. It's not in everybody's budget, and I completely understand that. And I'm not suggesting that you go broke by doing it, but if you're contemplating, is Lightning Lane worth it, or is it better just to get a second park day admission? Solely from a dollar perspective, Lightning Lane at $30 per person is far cheaper than a second park day admission ticket. Now, if you can swing it, do 2 days at Magic Kingdom, do 2 days at Epcot, 2 days at Hollywood, whatever. Pick your favorite parks and do 2 days. Absolutely. But if you can't, but you can afford lightning lanes, I think it's a way to go. And if you can't, that's okay too. Look, I also know not everybody are morning people, and so doing rope drop isn't in the cards for everybody. Some people prefer to close the park down. And I will tell you at Magic Kingdom, if you either want to skip the fireworks or at least once the fireworks end, you can hit a lot of rides in that last half hour to hour, whatever it may be, until the park closes. Because a lot of people are on Main Street for the fireworks, and as soon as Happily Ever After ends, they're headed to the exit. So you can maximize your experience at the end of the day as well. But for us, we knew we wanted to hit it early, knowing that if the toddler petered out in the middle of the day and we need to go back to the resort for a nap, we could do that. If he petered out at 8 o'clock at night and had to call it a night, we would do that as well. We kept everybody very well hydrated. We kept the toddler hydrated, kept food in him, kept snacks in him. Um, when he got tired, we'd push him in the stroller and he would nap. And everything was great for us. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover in today's podcast as far as our family's rope drop strategy and lightning lane strategy. I think what I would tell you, based on my experience, is to plan early, plan out your park days early, but be flexible. Like I said, 2 weeks out, I changed our park days for Hollywood and Epcot because park hours got extended for Hollywood and the lightning lane price went down for Epcot on Sunday compared to Saturday. So worked out great for us. Hope this information has helped you out. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube at Mike_Disney Travel. You can find me on Facebook at Mike's Magical World Vacations. I do this Park Life podcast and drop it on Spotify and on the Park Life Podcast YouTube channel every Monday morning at approximately 5 a.m. Eastern. We also do a Park Life Live, usually every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the Park Life YouTube channel. Would love to have you join us. I entertain questions. We talk about news that's breaking at Disney, and then we wrap up our evening with a little fun. We'll do some Q&A. Sometimes I'll ask the group questions. Sometimes we'll do some almost like live scavenger hunt type stuff. So love to have you join us. That's it for today, though. If you or your family or family friend need help in planning a Disney trip, I would love to work with you. My intent is to help you enjoy the experience without having to live through the stress of the experience. So I would love to work with you and your family. That's it for today in episode 48. I look forward to seeing you again next week for episode 49. Hope you have a great day today, an even better day tomorrow. And when you wake up tomorrow, remember it's a great day to be alive. Thanks everybody for joining. Bye bye.